The NFL Combine is just around the corner, so it is time for a pre-Combine NFL mock draft because we'll start to get wind of some trades that could be happening, some roster moves coming, and of course, prospects helping and unfortunately hurting their draft stock. So it's the pre-Combine edition with trades. We got a top 10 trade here. The Panthers, because we've done the Colts, but let's do it differently. What do the Bears get if they move down? Who do they end up getting there? I've got a first-round pick, 2 second-round picks, 4th-round pick as well in 2024. So that's both second-round picks Panthers have this year, a first-round pick this year, a first-round pick next year, and a 4th-round pick, all for number 1 overall. That's not the most elite trade package ever going back to Chicago. It's pretty close to even, though, on the updated trade value chart, so I focused on that front there. But Panthers get number 1. Bears get, in theory, 4 starters with 2 firsts and 2 second-round picks there. Who wins the trade? CHI for the Chicago Bears, CAR for the Panthers. If I did it right, it means everyone's mad at me, both Bears and Panthers fans, whether that's the case or not. Vote CHI or CAR. At number 1, look, I'll go Bryce Young. I'll make the point early here. I'm not really sure who ends up being the number 1 quarterback taken. Every one of the big 4, quote unquote, have a real flaw in their game. Bryce Young, it's the size. CJ Stroud going number 2 overall to the Houston Texans. Is he truly a good enough and willing enough mobile outside of structure quarterback? Did it against Georgia, but didn't do it consistently. But Panthers, Houston, obvious needs at quarterback. Jalen Carter, number 3 overall to the Cardinals here. You lose J.J. Watt, you add another impactful defensive tackle piece as they make, I would assume, a change to a more 4-3 defense under Jonathan Gannon. Jalen Carter reminds me of Fletcher Cox, actually, so I like that fit quite a bit. Will Levis out of Kentucky to Indianapolis here. I think he fits the more typical sizing standpoint of what the Chris Ballard would prefer. Levis's concerns are he wasn't productive, and there are very real accuracy problems. Number 5, this works out wonderfully for Seattle. This is the dream outcome for so they get to sit at number 5 and get maybe the best player in this year's draft in Will Anderson. Some people like Jalen Carter more, and that's totally fine. I get it. Anderson would be a home run pick for Seattle. Tyree Wilson goes number 6 to the Lions. I've seen some buzz of Wilson's the best defensive player. I can't get on board with that, but of your next tier of defensive players, I think Wilson absolutely is in that conversation. Let's get wild here. Anthony Richardson, number 7 to the Raiders. He's going to look great at the Combine. I don't value how quarterbacks look at the Combine. They should look awesome throwing in shorts. There's some value there, but it's more, wow, he looked terrible, that I'm like, maybe he's not the guy there in the end. Richardson with McDaniels, I don't know why, it just feels like a McDaniels pick there. But his concerns are, he wasn't good at Florida. I'm sorry. The production's not great. Accuracy issues, decision-making problems. He's not there. There are flashes of high-end stuff, but he's not remotely polished at this point. So of the big 4, who's the scariest quarterback prospect? BY for Bryce Young, CJ for CJ Stroud, AR for Anthony Richardson, WL for Will Levis. I go Richardson because he's the scariest in a good and a bad way. It's the pinned comment today, so vote for me. Pick one of those QBs if the ad break comes here on YouTube. Number 8, Myles Murphy out of Clemson, the edge rusher. Falcons fans go, oh, another Myles Murphy pick. I'm sorry, but it does make sense. Unfortunately, Murphy is one of several prospects this year that I have in my notes, a record-setting amount already. I'm only like 50, 55 guys through so far. I'm going to crank them out in the next couple weeks here. He was better last year. Don't love that. All right, so the Bears miss out on Murphy and Carter and Anderson. Defense is a big need. Let's say they spend in free agency on defense and take Peter Skoronski, the local-ish kid, at number 9. He might be a guard, but he's going to be a stud guard in the NFL. So you trade down. You got extra assets to get a receiver in round 2. I thought briefly about Jackson Smith-Njigba, but it's just too early for me. Skoronski at number 9. Number 10, Joey Porter Jr. stays in state, goes to Philadelphia. Whether it's Porter Jr. or Christian Gonzalez or Devin Witherspoon, lots of good cornerbacks in this year's class. No change again, Paris Johnson Jr. This is my favorite, especially now that Taylor Lewan has been cut as expected. Paris Johnson in Tennessee is just, it's a perfect fit. Best left tackle prospect. If you don't think Skoronski can play tackle, plug him in, day one starter for Tennessee. Quentin Johnston, number 12 out of TCU. I'm very curious how he tests. Because there are moments like, wow, he could maybe run a 4.4. And moments I'm like, he's more of a 4.5 guy. So Johnson's combine testing, I'm very curious about. I actually love the Brian Branch fit for the New York Jets. Replacing some of your other safety options, giving you that kind of overhang impact player. My player comp for Branch, by the way, is like souped up Jimmy Ward, which we know works in this style of defense. The rest of round one and some second and third round picks coming. But first, Fanatics has brought back their best deal ever, the T-shirt combo pack. On sale for the time, 25% off. Chatsports.com/NFL combo. Please make note, supplies do not last that long. They tend to go very, very quickly. So don't delay. Go get yours today. Chatsports.com/NFL combo. Different styles, both the short sleeve and the long sleeve. You can just sort by your favorite team. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Chatsports.com/NFL combo. Especially if they lose Jacoby Myers. I like Jordan Addison a lot out of USC as a Patriots wide receiver. I'm also a big fan of upgrading the supporting cast in Green Bay, whether it's Rodgers or Jordan Love. Michael Mayer, number 15 overall to the out of Notre Dame. I know there are others who like Dalton Kincaid or even a Luke Musgrave more. I'm a Michael Mayer guy first and foremost. Devin Witherspoon, he's so good. He was unbelievably productive at Illinois this year. I think he could maybe be in the conversation as soon as number 6 overall. Getting him at 16, though, great value. Broderick Jones to the Steelers. There's your potential new left tackle. He does need some adjustment period. His technique is not that good, but he's such a high-end athlete. He survived at Georgia, and I think will continue to grow and develop as a long-term left tackle piece for Pittsburgh. Plus, I've gone corner every time, and that gets boring for Steelers fans. Christian Gonzalez, number 18 out of Oregon. Look, the Lions could go corner at 6 or get a similar one at 18. I think that makes the most sense for them here. Gonzalez could easily be the number 1 corner in this year's class. Number 19, Bijan Robinson to the Buccaneers. I don't know where he's going to go. I really have a tough time figuring that out. Seattle has brought, or the Bucs have hired former Seahawks quarterbacks coach Dave Canales as their new OC. Maybe he and Todd Bowles want to establish the run more. If they cut Leonard Fournette, could actually make some sense. So I got Bijan at number 19, but we'll know more where he goes after the combine and after free agency, but he's going to go round 1. It's a matter of where he goes round 1. Now, if you want mock drafts all off season long, then subscribe. We'll do them weekly because they're fun. Everyone enjoys them. They get great views, so we're giving you guys what you want there, right? Hit that sub button so you don't miss out on anything. Number 20, Brian Brzee out of Clemson. So you go edge rusher and 3 technique for Seattle. I think the late round 1 buzz for Brzee is much better than top 10 buzz. He just hasn't been productive enough in his time in the collegiate ranks. I think you'll see plenty of Keon White conversation here, the edge rusher out of Georgia Tech. Big guy, I think, going to test very well at the combine. If he doesn't, he's probably not going to go round 1. I'm not as high on him as I think the NFL is, but if they dump Khalil Mack, White fits what they want to do on defense. The Ravens, I am begging you, get a playmaking wide receiver. Jalen Hyatt brings the speed to mesh very well alongside Rashad Bateman. Bateman is fast too. Hyatt's a different breed of speed, even though he was really only a slot and ran like 5 routes to Tennessee. They worked. Do it again in the NFL. Number 23, another expected combine riser, Lucas Van Ness. We've mentioned him before on the show because we're ahead of the game on some of these players at least. We're not always ahead of the game, but in this case we are. Van Ness should test very well. I think you're kind of in that George Karlaftis, maybe a bit more athletic than Karlaftis was mold. It wasn't a starter at Iowa, but played starter snaps, so that's, tomato as far as I'm concerned. Now, this is the pre-combine edition. We're kind of looking ahead to guys who should test well, though. Who do you think wows at the combine in a good way? We'll stay positive today. Drop that player name for me in the comment section. Number 24, Deonte Banks out of Maryland. I think he's really good. I think he kind of falls in that late round 1, early round 2 conversation, like a lot of these non-big 3 cornerbacks fall. Bit confused why he rotated so much at Maryland, but he didn't allow very many catches. Number 25, Jackson Smith-Njigba. He is a slot receiver. I think the Giants can make that work when it's all said and done. JSN, I want to see how he tests. I'm thinking more like 4-5. And if he goes Justin Jefferson style, he's going to be right back in that wide receiver 1 conversation. Cam Smith to the Cowboys here. I'm very confused why he's gone from, like in other mock drafts, right, gone from round 1, pick 2. I've seen as low as 3rd, 2nd round there. Maybe there's been some buzz. He might not test that well. Maybe that's why. We'll check in post-combine to see how fast he really is. Osiris Torrance out of Florida. I'm a big fan. Almost put him at 26, by the way, to the Cowboys. Get a new guard for Buffalo. Run blocker should help make life easier on Josh Allen. I'm higher than most on Osiris Torrance. I think he's going to be a great NFL pro. Dalton Kincaid, one of the better pure pass catchers at tight end this year, out of Utah. I like him more than Luke Musgrave. Bengals replace Hayden Hurst with another playmaker, just in case they trade Tyler Boyd or cut him or whatever. Number 29, Kalijah Kancey from Pitt. He's going to test well, but he's light in the pants. I think he is a very rare. Sam's laughing at me. That's the phrase, Sam. He's not a very strong lower body player. He's light in the pants. That's what it is. Nothing dirty about that. That's the phrase. He is the rare designated pass rusher at defensive tackle. Doesn't happen very much. The Saints, though, desperately need defensive tackle talent. Number 30, I like Nolan Smith. He hasn't played that much because of injuries, but in a, I think, pretty strong edge rusher class that overall this draft isn't that great. I think Nolan Smith is one of the better ones in this class. Plus, if you're Philadelphia, you can go corner, edge, defensive tackle, O-line. They got 2 first-round picks. It's going to be a blast. Number 31, Zay Flowers out of Boston College. He is tiny. That is a factor. He in Kansas City would be so much fun. That's why I did it. Like, the receiver isn't their biggest need. Flowers might not go round 1, but adding Zay Flowers, Tony, whatever you with the other receivers, so you adjust your roster there with Juju and Hardman and MVS and Sky Moore. That's a fun, dynamic grouping of wide receivers. That's it for round 1. Thanks, NFL, for canceling the Dolphins' first-round pick. Who did I leave out of my mock draft? There are plenty of names. Only fit 31 in there. Let me know in the comments. We're going to break down some more names as well as the teams without a first-round pick this year. Anton Harrison, who I know there are some fans, and I think Sam's a fan as a boomer sooner himself. I don't like the round 1 buzz for him, but tackle help is always needed. Upside athletically, I believe, is there. We can put him in round 2. Ozzie Smith, who should still go by Maisie Smith because that's been a lot of fun in Michigan. You want a run-stopping defensive tackle? This is your guy this year. Jalen Duncan out of Maryland. I put him on here so I could rant. I don't get it. He wasn't good at Maryland. Like, I'm sorry. Like, he's a great athlete. There's a lot of upside there. Makes him a worthwhile gamble later on in the draft. I think he goes around the round 2 range. I've seen first-round buzz for him. He got smoked by Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. I can't get on board with that. Cody Mock, round 3. He was not great at guard at the Senior Bowl. It was a position change for him, so keep that in mind. But that kind of mid-ish day 2 range, Denver needs offensive line help. If there was ever a North Dakota State former walk-on tight end turn guard, isn't that what he looks like? And by the way, I mean that in the most highest praise way possible. Finally, Darius Rush from South Carolina. I think we're maybe a couple weeks away, maybe a week if the combine goes poorly for Cam Smith, of the take being out there that Darius Rush is the better South Carolina quarterback. He's good. I'm not on board with that, but he could easily go top 60 potentially. Rapid fire, bonus prospects that I think are in the round one conversation to an extent. Luke Musgrave. I love Jahmyr Gibbs as an explosive player, but, it's running back. I like Josh Downs a lot, too. Darnell Wright is going to get plenty of buzz. Drew Sanders, Trenton Simpson. Don't sleep on Emmanuel Forbes or Keelan. It's a great cornerback class, man. B.J. Ojolari, that's Aziz's brother, and even Derek Hall as well.